Professor Hassan said, I am in the mass communication department, so we are the tech people, supposedly. We do a lot of technology, we're into social media and how it affects communication. The course I opted to blend is Public Relations and Advertising Principles, which is our first course for our PR major, MS 243. I am going to start by explaining why I opted to blend the course, but before that, let me just, one of the first things that came up, a lot of anecdotes happen as you're doing this. This is trial and error. It's the first time I actually do blend a course. I taught in the US for like 13 years. We didn't really go that route. My first time here, and I'll explain in a minute why I opted to go there. But one of the interesting, or one of the funny moments while I was teaching this blended course last semester is, after 3 videos, one of my students actually asked, and then others joined in and said, whose voice is on this? Whose voice is on the video? And I said, that's me. And it's like, it doesn't sound like you. So just one of the, one of the funny things, or one of the things that happens that you just don't really think would happen, that the students all along would have thought that this is you putting together the videos. So let's meet MS 243, or PR and Ad Principles. As I said, it's the foundation course for us. It's a very important course because it lays the groundwork for all the subsequent courses in the PR major. It's very important to me because I do teach the other courses. I teach the PR campaigns, I teach the research course, and I cry and I shed tears when they come in and they don't know what they should be doing. Sound design is another important thing when you're looking at blending, or for MS 243. The content that we cover in this course is a lot. It's a lot of content for the 16 weeks in the semester. But we have to cover it, as I said, because it lays the groundwork for everything that comes after it. Engagement. The course needs to be very engaging. As I said, I've taught this course before, many, many times in the US. Over there, we're engaging the students because we want to keep them enrolled in our discipline. Here, I'm engaging the students because they really need to learn. They're not going to go anywhere. Most of the time, it's about the money and the dollars over there. We're trying to spur the creative juices of the students while also challenging them to think. It's not about having an exam where I'm putting questions and I'm asking them define or have multiple choice questions. I really want them to engage and critically think about the content. And finally, information retention, which goes back to the idea that it's a foundation course. It is important that my students, or the students in this course, retain much of the information because, again, as I said, I shed the tears when I get them for the campaigns course 2 courses down. If they really did not grasp what they should have grasped in this course. So, I'm not going to read over this, but it's the introductory course. We introduce the students to the field of public relations and advertising. We do a lot of social media stuff. We look at the ethics of PR and of communication. We look at the PR process. We look at the communication process. And we look at the role of PR and advertising in society. So there is a philosophical part to the course, and this is what makes it a bit challenging sometimes to teach, especially to non-native speakers. So, again, why blend? Why did I opt? Why was I one of the first people to raise their hands and say, I'm going to blend my course? Why blend MS 243? Certain things that I think all our courses across the board in the university do share. We are dealing with Generation Y. Thank you. It's okay, I'll just use this. And Generation Y, or millennials, as we know, are very tech savvy. And I think you've had this in your class. You're teaching, and they're probably, you told them to put the phone away, but somebody is, on their Instagram page or something, or Snapchatting with their friends. This generation is known for their marked use and how familiar they are with communications, media, and digital technologies. So the way they learn is not necessarily the same way you and I were taught, and they expect more out of us. This one was really an eye-opener for me. I am teaching non-native speakers. I have never taught non-native speakers. I'm a native speaker of Arabic, but I've never taught non-native speakers before. So what I've seen, I've been here for like 3 years now, what I've noticed is that my students sometimes struggle to take notes. It's a bit of a challenge. I try and slow down when I'm speaking in the class or lecturing, but it's still not the same as, I just take it for granted that I'm talking and people are taking notes. It doesn't work that way here. The blended format aids in content recall. They can always go back and watch those videos as many times as they want. Take those quizzes as many times as they want. Do the exercises as many times as they want. And it makes life easier for them and for me. And as I said, down the line, I'm going to reap all of this. Because when they come into the 400 level classes, they're ready and they have really grasped the material. It's a different way of teaching, and this is really, really important. We all do not learn the same way, and I think this is one of the problems that we as professors have. We were all taught probably in about the same way. You have somebody you're sitting at the back of the room, and you have a lecturer who's just talking to you or talking at you. I don't know which one it is, and it's so boring. This new generation is not like us. They demand more, as I said, and you need to find, people learn differently. Some people are visual, some people are more into their auditory, like their listening skills. We need to pay more attention to that. And honestly, again, I think blending the course really helped me with a different approach to my teaching. And finally, it's not finally, but it's really an important aspect, student engagement. The course needs to be engaging, it needs to be appealing, and more importantly, the most important thing, and I really have seen the growth throughout the semester, make the students assume responsibility for their own learning. Don't want somebody coming at the end of the semester saying, Miss, and I'm always telling them, I'm not Miss, I'm Doctor. I don't remember, or I didn't understand this. It's like, okay, go back and watch the video. If you watch the video and you still don't get it, then you can come back to me. And it has made a big difference. I've seen that, especially with my male students. They're actually watching. They actually send me emails now to ask me questions. And when I have a revision session in the class, they actually raise their hands and they have questions for me. So that works. I think it's, it's a happy place for everybody. So how and what content to blend? So when I started this journey, okay, they said blend, but what parts am I going to blend? What am I going to blend? So I came up, this is my paradigm. I mean, you can pick and choose, but I think it's a good approach to doing it. And as I said, every discipline is different. Everybody teaches in a different way. But I found that this 6-step approach helped me blend my content. First, content that was previously challenging for students to understand. As I said, I've been here for 3 years. Throughout those 3 years, I've been teaching this course over and over and over again. I've taught it before, but again, to a different demographic, to a different target audience, so the learning is a bit different over there. Content that needed more focus and class activities for it to be comprehended, and that goes back to the fact that they're non-native speakers. Sometimes you need to kind of stress or focus on certain things more than others because it's a bit difficult to understand. Content that was tedious, and we all get bored. I get bored sometimes, teaching. I feel like a parrot. I teach it in the girls' side, and then I'm running to the boys' side, and I'm doing the same thing. If the content was tedious and you feel that your students, you've lost them in previous semesters, I think it's a good opportunity to give it a chance and try and blend it and see if you can do something more exciting with it. Content that relied on more critical thinking skills rather than them regurgitating, just giving me the information, define, do you understand, give me an example. No, really critically thinking and applying it to their projects, to their exam questions. Content that is essential for students in order for them to create and produce their final projects. And I have to tell you, I got some really nifty final projects this time. I'm really happy with them. And again, most of the time it's my female students who do a better job. I got some really good projects from the male side, and I'm happy about that. And I think the blending had played a part in this. And also Dr. Tendai, who came in and actually showed them how you can use social media to put up or come up with a business idea. And finally, content that lays the foundation for other classes in the major. So as I said, this is a very important class for them, so I stress on content that I know has to grow with them as they grow within their major. So I'm not going to, I gave you the reasons. So now let's talk about, let me showcase some of the concepts that I blended, and I'm going to, share a couple of videos. One of the pieces or the areas that my students struggle with is attitudes and public opinion, how it's formed, why it's formed, what factors go into the formation of public opinion, how can we control public opinion, how can we change public opinion, how, at times there are, we cannot change public opinion, what are we supposed to do? So, challenges with my previous course design before I blended. It was difficult for the students to comprehend, all this. Students in the past have simply memorized the information and then just came into the exam and, gave me everything, but I don't think there was really an understanding of what's going on. There's a lack of the concept of retention. I cannot stress how important this is. It's not growing with them, so again, I find myself as a parrot when they come into my campaigns or research class, and I'm saying the same stuff over and over and over again. It's boring for me, it's boring for them. And no application of information taught into higher levels within the major. As I said, as they grow and they are about to seek jobs, they need to be able to apply what we're teaching them in the class to be able to retain or to get actually to keep a job, to have a job. So I'm just gonna give you a couple of, just bear with me, put these in mind. I'm not teaching you any public opinion stuff here, but factors influencing attitudes and their formation, and I focused on those because I'm going to share with you the question that I used for my final exam to kind of test and see if we got it or not. In my discipline, and that's for everybody, so things that we say influence how attitudes and public opinion forms is like your personal likings, your culture, your educational background, your family, your religion, your social class, and your race. And all that happened before is that they would, memorize the examples I gave them in class and come into the exam or, put together the final project and just use those. So I'm just going to share with you one of the videos that I put together. This is one of the first ones. I used two platforms, if I can call them that. I used the Go Animate, which became the Vyond later on, and I then opted to move on to Panapto. So I'm not going to go over all the video, but it kind of gives you a feel for how it looks.
Hello. Today we will explain how to discuss public opinion and its importance in the field of communication. The lesson objectives are defining public opinion, understanding the importance of public opinion in public relations work, understanding the three factors that lead to the creation of public opinion, and finally, understanding the 7 characteristics that lead to the formation of attitudes. What do we need to understand first? 1, how public opinion is formed. 2, how public opinion evolves from people's attitudes. 3, how public opinion is influenced by communication.
And I'm sorry, we have a bit of a glitch here. There is sound, but I don't know if it can carry.
Designed to persuade people to change their opinion, crystallize uninformed or undeveloped opinions, reinforce existing opinions, research into public opinion. Public opinion is determined by three factors. First, we have attitudes. Then, our attitudes become opinions. Then, our opinions become actions. Attitudes are based on a number of characteristics: personal, cultural, educational, familial, religious, social class, and race. Opinions are the expression of an attitude on a specific topic. For example, you strongly support you for pumping oil and petrol at Adenauer stations. That is an opinion. An action is an expression of an opinion
think we kind of got the idea here. Let's just move on. Okay, so, sorry, you wanted to sit down?
Yes.
My bad.
That was amazing.
Okay, then another, concept or another area that I've noticed that they always kind of struggle with is ethics and the philosophical perspectives that we talk about when we talk about how we can influence public opinion, what we should do as communicators, what is ethical, what is not ethical. This one really actually grading it every single semester before blended teaching would make me cry. I'm not kidding you. So challenges with my previous course design, it was difficult again for the students to comprehend. They memorized, the lack of the concept retention, and again, they didn't carry it on to their final projects in their capstone and in their PR campaigns class. So, the philosophical perspectives I just want you to put in mind are those 4 that I talked about, or in that specific part of the course. It was very difficult, and I think, again, it's the English that is a big, big, big problem. But the videos helped kind of overcome this side. I believe so. I don't know. I don't think it's a fluke. We'll see this semester. Okay, I'm not going to go over all the ethics video, but this is another type of video that I put together. But I'm just going to kind of go further down.
Philosophers throughout the ages have debated the meaning of ethics.
So we went over these. I just want to show you something. Okay.
For the greatest number of people, and that he called the principle of utility.
Okay. I had to actually, at one point,
Debated the
sorry.
factors. What vaccines throughout the ages have debated the meaning of ethics? Today we're going to be looking at 4 schools of thought. The first is utilitarianism, which suggests doing the greater good rather than what may be best for the individual. The second school of thought is put forth by Aristotle, and it's called the golden mean of moral virtue, and that is, in Arabic, al-wasatiyya.
Okay, so as you can see, I actually opted to explain some of the terminology in Arabic, and it helped. It really did help my students. This is really one of my most boring videos, I would say. I like to go animate more, but it was more of a focus on the actual content than jazzing up the video to have them kind of, focus on the characters and the charts and so forth. However, in the end, and I think this is one of the reasons, honestly, that they really liked it, is this. Because they had an assignment that was connected to the video, and they felt that, at the end of the video, I'm saying, now we're done with this, let's go ahead and do the assignment and see if you can apply what you just learned. And all of them the next time, just these simple things, came back and said, did you really have these characters, or did you make them? And I said, I don't have these characters, the characters were there. So resonance is really, really important, because people see themselves in these videos. You have to kind of put a piece of them for them to kind of connect with the videos. So evaluation, which is really, really important. When I first started, I said we are the tech people, but blended, in my opinion, okay, is not about the technology. Technology is important, but it's a tool that we use to teach. So we have to, at the end of the day, assess whether the technology is really helping us with our teaching or not. So yes, I put together 6 videos this last semester that I used. I wanted to assess if the content in the videos was actually helping my students with understanding, with retaining the information and so forth. And as I said, I saw it in the projects, but there needed to be a more objective assessment or evaluation of all of this. So attitudes and public opinion. Assessment was like as follows. I had a Blackboard assignment, then we had an in-class assignment after the video, the next class period. There was a question, quiz 1 question that dealt with the video. There was a final exam question, and there was an embedded quiz in this video as well. But I just want to share with you the final exam question, which I thought was really, really difficult. didn't think anybody was really gonna kind of get the information. So as I said, remember we said that public opinion is based on characteristics like your family, your religion, your social class, etc. So I didn't say define, I gave them a hypothetical. I said in South Africa, red is associated with mourning, or hadad. And the section of red in the country's flag symbolizes violence and sacrifices that were made during the struggle for independence. In Japan, white is associated with mourning because of the Buddhist traditions. So A, explain what kind of attitude it is in South Africa. So I'm really, really honing in and seeing if they really understood these characteristics and how they play out. B, explain what kind of attitude it is in Japan. And C, give an example of an attitude found here in the UAE and explain what kind it is. So at the end of the day, they also gave me their own example. So I tested, again, we could have said, okay, it's a fluke. Maybe they guessed and they got this A and B right. But by, for C, they're giving me the examples and they're telling me this is this because of that. So there's really a synthesis of the information that was provided to them in the videos. So evaluation. The public opinion attitudes final exam question was question number 5. At 68% of my students out of a class of 25 actually score a 5 out of 5 on that question. So I was really, really happy with that. Again, we might argue that 25 is not statistically significant, that maybe it's a fluke, but we'll see next semester because I'm going to try, the same thing again and see how it works. 16% got a 3 out of 5. And the remaining 16% got, lower, 2 or lower on that specific question. So, for the ethics part, those, different philosophical perspectives, and this one was really a difficult one, a really difficult question, I thought. There was the Blackboard assignment. There was an in-class assignment. It was a question on quiz 2, and it was a final exam question. This is the final exam question. They're supposed to identify the ethical perspective. Again, it's a hypothetical. I'm not going to read over it, but let's just do the first one. The United States of America bombed Japan in World War II and killed 80,000 people. The US government stated that it had to bomb Japan and kill all these people because it was the only way to stop World War II and save even more lives. What ethical perspective is this, and explain? And I got some pretty good explanations from these students. Okay, so for this one, as I said, it was a bit more difficult. 60% actually got the 6 out of 6 on this question. 16 got half, which was about 3, and then 24% got lower than that. And that was to be expected because it's not one of the easier questions on the exam. So, challenges. It's not all roses, people. I'm still learning. I like to see what other people are doing here at UAU, but also like in other places, the Blackboard community has some really good showcases as well. But let's just take a look at some of the challenges that I thought I faced. We take it for granted that these kids or these students are really, really good with technology. They are. They're good at posting on Twitter. They're good at posting on Instagram. But that does not necessarily mean that they're Blackboard savvy. And that's one thing that I really learned the hard way. They don't know how to use all the tools. So why, I don't know why I thought that, okay, they know how to use the discussion board, and this is one reason I did not use the discussion board this semester, but they don't know how to use the discussion board. They don't know how, like when I say I put you all into groups, they don't know where to find their name in the groups. Or your grades are posted online. Some of them don't know how to find their group. Or access the videos on Panapto section on Blackboard, and they'd say I can't find it. And I know for some, you find that wherever you go, students would say that they don't know this stuff, but I think I really kind of thought that they had more Blackboard savviness than they actually did. It's very time consuming to create the content. As I said, I put together 6 videos last semester. I am adding 2 this semester. Actually, 3, and I'll explain why there are 3 in a minute. It's time consuming, but once the video's up, I think it looks nice and it's fun, and it's more interesting for them that way. the content needs to be a bit different sometimes for the male and female students. And I don't mean like I'm teaching them different ethical perspectives. But as you saw in that video, I had females like running on the treadmill, right? I can't be, I'm teaching that same section to the males in the male campus. I can't be using the students because I want that resonance. As I said, people connect better with you when you have points or when you have them in your videos. So I had to go back and change the graphics. Yes, it was about like 5 minutes, but still it's time consuming. When once I'm done with the video, I thought, okay, I'm done. But then I remembered, hey, I'm gonna be using this in the male section. I need, you know, young men with condoras running on the treadmill. It didn't take that long, but I had to put that in mind. It's a work in progress. As I said, this was my first semester, and you learn. But the best way to learn is by, you know, watching what other people are doing, observing what other people are doing, but most importantly is listening to the students themselves, the feedback. And that, I don't know if you've noticed, the first video I shared with you had music. The second video did not have music. The girls were telling me the music is so annoying, we don't like it. I don't understand what's going on. So in their videos, I actually took the music out. The boys were telling me, when I did that, I didn't ask the male students. So I took the music out in that ethics video, and they came back and said, why isn't there any music in this one? So the feedback, as I said, is so, so important. You have to listen to them. And that's a bit difficult, again, for us, because we're always the ones lecturing at them. But we need their feedback if this is to be a success. As I said, I didn't, you know, get to know until like 2 or 3 videos down the line when they said, whose voice is this? I said, that's my voice. I don't sound like this. They go, no, it doesn't sound like you. And I learned a lot of things from them. It's like, okay, can you change? I can't find it. Can you like put the grades up a bit, move them up so it's better on my interface? And I'll share that in a minute. As I said, their feedback really makes a huge, huge difference. And I intend to use that even more this semester. Okay, so the modifications and additions for me this semester. Okay, as I said before, I assumed that they are Blackboard savvy. They're not. I've put together, I'm actually working on a video now that shows them how to use my site, because I have certain tools. I'm not using the tools that everybody does use. What tools I'm using and how to use them, how to kind of maneuver my site. And there is going to be an assignment linked to that video so I can assess whether they understood what's going on or not. And it has like, you know, give them 2 points and they'll do it for you. Everybody's like competing with everybody else. Use of the discussion board. And I really regret not having used it last semester, but the main reason I did not use it is that they did not know what the discussion board is. However, when we had these classes, I'd be online with them. I'd be getting all these emails back and forth. Like, how do I do this? What does this mean? It's like, why didn't I open up the discussion board? Let's just do that this time. Even more so, discussion board is really, really good because, as I said, most of these videos have assignments, or actually all my videos have assignments linked to them, but they're done in groups, so I'm not really assessing the individual. The discussion board, and that I learned from Professor Hassan here when I was examining his course. If they can give me feedback, like, you know, have a question or whatever, and everybody kind of gives you an answer, and you go back and, you know, tally the answers and the, you know, the content, the caliber of the answers at the end of the week, it gives me, again, another way to gauge if they understood individually what was in those videos or not. So, discussion board, here I come this semester. More use of Panapto. I used to make my videos on the Go Animate and then transfer them. The Panapto is really, really good because I can embed my quizzes in there. The Go Animate, I think, looks more fun, but I can't really embed. Maybe I don't know. I have to ask more people, but I have not. I've actually looked at this online. I couldn't find anybody that did really embed. The quizzes are not as clean looking or as good as they look when they're on Panapto. So it better integrates with Blackboard. And finally, gamification. And that, I attended a couple of workshops last semester, and people were using all these like gamification approaches to their course. And I actually have 2 games that I intend to use instead of assignments this semester. So they'll be, watching the video, and then there's a game that is linked to that video. Again, it's another way to engage them further and for me to see if they understand the content. It's like a quiz, but it's a fun quiz. And when people do these fun quizzes and get the badges, they're really happy about that. So, questions, comments, but before I do the questions and comments, let me just show you how it looks now. This is my course from last semester. As I said, I taught 2 sections of this. This was the female section that had 25 students. The male section had 6 students in it. So I designed it whereby, and it didn't look like this, by the way. I was talking to Tendai this morning. They took away our theme, so it doesn't look that way. That banner I made, I'm playing around with the banners to make it more my course. My welcome page actually goes over, why we're doing this course, what I'm trying to do with the course. Then there is a my instructor. I chose to put that. It gives them, my information, how they can get their hands on me, what I intend to do with them. Then there's the syllabus, okay, which is attached there. I could have had the syllabus run as a page, it's just like flow of content, but I opted to attach the document because this way they can go ahead and download it if they want to. And then we had the due dates for the fall as well, so they knew when the exams were coming and so forth. This is the course content. I opted to go ahead and design by modules. It's cleaner, I think. I just need stuff that looks clean. So for example, PR and Introduction, which were the first couple of chapters, we had, about 6 chapters over here, which some of them had videos attached to them and others didn't. Okay, let's just go back. Then, for example, for the final project, I put the instructions for the final project. Then they had the peer evaluation because they were working in groups. And then I put an example of a final project from past semesters that was really, really good for them to kind of take a look at. This section had all the videos. This had my grades, and this had the tools that, that I used throughout the semester. And then if they needed any help, again, these were their groups, and that was one, they kept on saying, I can't find my group. I can't find my group. Where do you find groups? So I opted to put like groups all by itself on the side so that, it was easy for them to go ahead and find. Having said that, questions, comments, it's a wrap for me.